is just drunk off his mind, just in these fancy restaurants, just, I'm in command, here's my girlfriend, and this is who they've put in. I mean, just a megalomaniac. So it is a major fault of judgment of the president that he believed the military would protect him, because the military units that have been involved and some of the private groups that helped get him elected and some of the patriots out there that were behind the scenes helping, the military is his friend. But not the... Everybody that was a patriot wouldn't take the job because they saw what happened to Flynn. So it's really their dereliction of duty, some of the good guys he first asked after Flynn, that we're in this position. Finally, he went to McMaster. McMaster called his handler, Petraeus, and they gave the green light. We should get Steve Pachenik on about this, because I want to brief him on air, maybe at noon if you can do it. He used to run CIA major operations. I want to get him on and just talk about the information I have, because I already have a lot of this myself. And then the new information I got on the phone for 20 minutes with Roger, writing notes this morning, I got a big chill up my spine. And I knew what they did to Reagan. I know what they've done to other leaders before by building up a poison or building up a drug in the body until the person is basically dependent on it and then never even knew it. And that's how they get control of you. Oh, you're not, you're feeling bad. Here's more of what you need. That's going on. Because these people, president, because they've surrounded him, they've encircled him. Oh, and how they did it by leaking. Then saying, sir, we've got to have operational control. Get rid of all these other people around you. They'll stop leaking, when they were the very ones that were leaking. Then they just order their command and control system of aides that are around him to stop leaking, because now they've got the president where they want him, isolated. Then they go, sir, this newspaper found out about this woman. And yeah, Trump and Melania are together and everything, and stuff goes on. But Trump's never made any bones about the fact that he likes women. And, I mean, that's they're blackmailing the president. I mean, you're going to get it all. You're going to get every bit of it. Look, we've known a lot of this for a while, but you're going to get it all. We're spilling our guts coming up in the 4th hour. Spilling the guts. Spilling the guts. Because it's too dangerous to know any of this. Roger agreed, and my other sources agree. The next big game changer has arrived. Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the Infowar. It is a classical 360 win. We're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLife.com.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday giving North Korea his most aggressive warning to date.
President Trump is not a racist.
I say red baseball caps mean you're an ass.
Tonight, the fight over Confederate statues is now a flashpoint.
Large groups of people punching, kicking, and hitting each other with sticks.
If you see this and you understand what is going on and it makes you angry, do not take yourself out of the game.
It's Paul Joseph Watson, and the t-shirt has finally arrived. Nothing triggers safe space snowflakes more than this slogan and my face. It is the new t-shirt from InfoWarsStore.com. Conservatism is the new counterculture. You've seen how much this triggers the safe space snowflakes. The left controls culture. They control arts. They control entertainment. They have the complete monopoly on culture, which is why conservatism is the new counterculture. We are striking back in the culture war. This triggers snowflake will trigger the holy hell out of leftists. It will make me incredibly happy. It's available right now. Get yours at InfoWarsStore.com.
Before we sell out.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Let's make this a year of action. That's what most Americans want.
Raising the debt ceiling does not increase our debt. Nobody is listening to your telephone calls.
The debate is settled. Climate change is a fact. And if people can't trust not only the executive branch, but also don't trust Congress and don't trust federal judges, then we're going to have some problems here.
What difference at this point does it make?
Everything is awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love this song.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome.
When you're selling America out for Team Globalist. But the American people and the intelligence agencies learned of the plan to make the country poor. I've talked about 10 years ago, till I learned all the behind-the-scenes stuff and saw how accurate it was, that those are some of the folks and people that are aware of what's happening and have been trying to recommend to Trump avenues that would actually get him out of the debacle that he's in. But but Blackwater is just a very, very small piece of this. But it was Eric Prince exposing the Jerry Epstein, the sex trafficking of children in and out of the Middle East on Epstein's aircraft with Bill Clinton on board, and Weiner trying to recruit young girls and all the rest of it. I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and it's a nightmare. And Donald Trump really believes in America, really believes in free market, believes in making better deals. He doesn't like that the globalists are out to get the country and want to conquer it by making it poor when they already own it and run it. Trump goes, what's the point in behind-the-scenes conversations if you've got a racehorse to go out there and put it on a truck and send it to be turned into, you know, steaks or something for people in France? Or if you've got a pet dog that's loyal to you, why the hell would you stomp its head in? Not that he's even a saint. He's just like, why would we burn down the country? Why would we sell out to the communist Chinese and Mexico and everywhere else and get rid of prosperity? Trump likes flying over and seeing lots of big houses and swimming pools and everything nice. It's well known. He just can't stand it when he sees poor families and stuff. It's not about PR. He's just grabbing wads of cash out, handing it to them, writing people checks, because he likes wealth. He's real hard-nosed with the globalists and groups, and he'll have casinos. If you're dumb enough to go gamble, he'll take your money. But at the same time, he likes prosperity. Just like I don't like going in a restaurant and seeing old ladies not able to buy the food they want in the cafeteria line. The third or fourth time that happened at these cafeterias I like to go to, because some of these cafeterias have pretty good food. I've been going to cafeterias since I was 16 years old by myself. And I never seen old people not able to get the food they needed. I couldn't eat the food anymore. I've walked out of these cafeterias because I don't like standing out or acting like a big saint or something. I start saying, let me get your dinner, and then it turns into a big scene. Well, let me get your food, you know, these old ladies, old black ladies, old white ladies. I just can't stand it. I want to see them get their big plates of food. Instead, they could hardly get anything to eat. Pisses me off. It makes me not feel good about my prosperity because I'm a real liberal. I want freedom. That's what liberal means. It means more books, more freedom, more property, more children, more guns, more life extension, more choices, true diversity, true tolerance. There's nothing tolerant about the globalist. They have some existential wish to dominate and kill the West and kill Western architecture and culture in their own admissions. It's a sick cuckolding. And hey, if some guys get off on 10 other men with their wife, that's their issue. But that's cuckolding. And that's what this is they want to sit here and mutilate our children's minds and mutilate our culture, and then they write essays about how they like it. It's not like I just figured this out. They tell us what they're doing. You know how frustrating it is to be able to read 50,000 if I could Department of Energy reports, government reports about geoengineering and how they're doing it, and there are tens of thousands of reports. It's completely public. It's one of the most studied industries in the world. It's gigantic. And it's all beneath the surface in the national security realm. Talk about discrimination. Forget black, white, or religion, or where you're from. What about an elite of ultra-rich setting up a National Security Act in 1947 to make basically half the government secret and to be able to kill whoever they want and do whatever they want for now almost 70 years? What type of hubris, what type of arrogance, what type of insanity do you think that creates? And then we put a cowboy businessman in there who just doesn't have a giant you-know-what on for America, who associates his success with America. We get a beachhead to try to get new management in, and suddenly everything starts turning around when he just gets a few of the switches back in order. An example to others, no matter what it happens to me. Because here's the deal. If I just live some fat cat life, I'll be empty, and I can project into the future and see humanity doesn't have a destiny if we don't do the right thing now. So I'm very selfish about the human destiny. I am connected to everyone. I am connected to everybody. I know that, but not in some false collectivism where some central group directs the collective. That's why I get so mad at myself when I stumble, because it's such an honor to stand against the enemy. And Trump has tasted just a little bit of the spirit, a little bit of this destiny that I know is burning so brightly in your hearts and your minds and your eyes out there in your guts. If these evil people only knew what was waiting for them, if they would just turn themselves over to God, but it's got to be done through free will. And I am just so blessed that my heart and soul resonates with God and not with the devil. Because, let me tell you, men are always dual. And my evil side's there, and it's big, but it's not anything as big as my good side. But I know my evil side. It's much bigger than most seriously wicked men's. My evil side is about as big and dark and large as anybody's out there. And that's why I know the enemy. But my good side's so much, much bigger than that. And anybody that serves this pure evil is a fool. Most of them do it through fear. You see, the globalists know they're spiritually ugly, that they spiritually stink, that they spiritually are failures. And so if they can force feed ugly architecture, ugly literature, on us, ugly spiritually leaders like Hillary, then it'll just twist and invert justice and right and make us give up internally, because our subconscious mind sees a tottering evil politico like Hillary, who just acts and behaves physically but also in her works like a classic witch out of The Wizard of Oz. And if that's what we're going to get, despite her huge train of corruption, it's a giant breaking of our will. That's what this is. And then you understand why they want to mount our head politically on the wall, because it's a breaking of our will. See, they don't want to fully destroy your free will. They want to trick you into giving your will over to them. But to do that, they've got to break your will. You understand that? This is a force of wills. And as the enemy pushes their will against us, can you not feel your will getting stronger? No matter how many horsepower the devil gives them, God's going to give us even more horsepower. And that's why the enemy is just, they don't know what to do. They're throwing everything they've got at humanity right now. The chemicals, the biologicals, they know it's getting them too. People say, well, how does the elite do all this to get away with it? They don't get away from it. That's why most of their own people are starting to give up. They're going, this is crazy. I don't want to be part of this. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going all the way. It's metaphysical. When the emperor, the Illuminati's telling you right there, is sitting there frying Mace Windu with the electricity, it's bouncing back on him as well, frying him. But he wants the power so much, he's willing to cook his own self to get the power. Unlimited power! It's a joke. You understand that? These people are fried. They fried themselves. They turned themselves over, and they fried themselves. They thought they were getting the power when they were losing their real humanity the entire time. And then when the dark force is done with them, all they are is a husk. All they are is an empty vessel, an automaton, a biological android, a avatar. Their will turned into a tool of the force of evil in the universe. So we're going to cover a lot of news, got a lot of clips, got a lot to cover. Quite frankly, just the time's ticking down to when we're going to give you the full data dump. I told Roger this morning, from my sources, his sources, and other sources, and I've gotten a lot of this directly from Cernovich, and believe me, Cernovich has got the sources in the White House, or did. Everything in the fight now turns to midterm elections. I knew 2 weeks ago what Bannon was going to do with these big announcements, what we're going to do. Bannon's the real deal. And none of us should fight over who's the leader in this. It's like, who's the leader marching up first to the gallows individually? But I get competitiveness in men. That's part of what makes a man successful. But at this level, it's not about that. It's about the competitiveness of our energy and our will with God filling our sails with his will against the enemy. It's about ramming speed. It's about understanding how important this is. Look at this article. Now I'm going to skip this break. If you want to know the enemy, listen to how religious this is by Charles M. Blow. Joe Blow. Soul survival in Trump's hell. You see America waking up. You see the ratings going back up of the dead media. They're still dead, but it's a big dead cat bounce. Interest again. So physically, their coffers are full again. Physically, they're doing better. Physically, the economy's better. Physically, there's more optimism. Physically, all the real numbers show we're coming together. But they, the elite, are going to now tell you it's hell. Because listen to how they talk about how it makes them feel that Trump's there because, see, he's not anti-Christian. And he's not anti-white. And again, it's not the minorities that are pushing this race-based system. It's the controllers. Soul survival in Trump's hell. And then look at these articles. Bitter Hillary, Trump won because he comforted millions of white people. And, you know, that's one of the few truthful things she said. It's not that they were racist. They were told how they were racist. They were told how they were evil, even though a lot of them, it turned out, had voted for Obama, and they were had grown up guilty that they were white. And then even though they did everything they could to not be racist, they were told they were bad. And so Trump came in and said, no, you're not bad, and we're all going to come together. They went, yeah, that's what we want. That's what we wanted Obama to do. That's why we voted for him. That's why I kind of sat back in that election, because I knew McCain was bad. And I kind of hoped, I didn't think he would, but I kind of hoped all this stuff would actually work. It was cold-blooded. They were going to make it worse. And then look at this headline. I saw this headline and thought it was clickbait, but I knew that Paul doesn't do that. I saw the quote, Finnish police say, we need to expand tolerance to terrorists. The quote is, we need to expand tolerance to terrorists and keep them in schools even if they kill people. See, if you can have an authority figure in mind control sit there in a police chief suit and go, even if you're killed by terrorists, it's good to learn the diversity of being killed by them. Europe is white and is bad. We are now Islamic. Learn to wear the hijab. Now we're going to have a field trip. I used to hear 10 years ago, they're making kids learn Sharia in public school and college. I went, what a bunch of bull. And then I learned it's happening. That's the thing. And then you read the article. It's directly out of mainstream news in Finland. They got a socialist society. Everybody worked together so cohesively, so trustingly in this Viking society where there was no theft of Vikings, which is everybody else they were robbing, that they will do anything. You can basically, I've read, tell women in Finland, just have sex with them on the side of the street. They'll just, okay, because you asked, I don't want to be rude. I mean, that's how, and then you bring in millions and millions and millions of Muslims running around raping, killing, bombing, everything. And the police say, well, there's an actual quote. He says, we need to accept the terrorist. So, and you go, that doesn't make sense. They're in power. They have to totally flip it and totally Stockholm everybody. Like the article last week out of Stockholm, Sweden, in their big national paper out of Stockholm, they said, we're going to give preferential homes and training and the highest level of welfare that even veterans don't get to returning ISIS members to reform them. We're going to buy you off, kind of like the Mexican drug gangs killing other Hispanics in record numbers in towns all over California. They go, we're going to pay you $1,000 a month if the murder rate goes down. And it'll work for a while. You pay a pirate for a while, then he comes back wanting more. But you're going, wait a minute. Because they have free money now. There's going to be so many computers, robots, and industry. The globalists said this 20 years ago. I told you about it because they wrote it in major white papers, like Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. Bill Joy. Owner of Sun Microsystems said, no, we're going to just have entertainment, toys, free money, all this stuff, but you'll culturally have to do what they say, and they're going to phase out humans once we're just don't even know how to do anything. We'll just be playing video games all day and then wonder why we get cancer at 20. And it's because you get your money allotment as long as you take the vaccines and everything. And then under the eugenics, if you fight and say no and can figure out how to live out in the country, they even say this in their actuaries, that they'll let everybody live in the country that live like Amish, because they say that's some balance. You'll have the elites with their spaceships, life extension, and then there'll be a vestigial humanity that lives out in the woods, and then there'll be everybody else being phased out and killed, and they all say it and put out white papers, and I'm just sitting here with even people that have been my friends for years going, oh, Alex is a little radical. You know why they say that? Because they're scared deep inside. They don't want to admit all this is true. They don't want to admit everything we talk about keeps coming true. They're now admitting the geoengineering. And now they admit most of the people you're talking to on Facebook and Twitter are bots. They're not even real. But they're there to make you socially feel like. It was just 3 years ago they said the CIA is going to start having computers write articles. They were already doing it. And then back before we turned it over to Discus, so I would have the Secret Service showing up here all the time. People made death threats on my comment section on Infowars or Prison Planet. Secret Service probably came around, I don't know, 9, 10 times. I turned it over to an outside group to have the comments, but before we did that, we would go look at the IP addresses. There'd be a guy going, I'm going to kill you white people, and then I'm going to kill you black people, and all this other stuff in there. And then we go look at the IP addresses, and it was the same person. They weren't even hiding it. And we turned it was a bot. We go, wait, that guy's posting in 10 articles per 10 seconds. A person can't do that. It's some government bot in there saying, I'm going to kill the white people. I'm going to kill the black people. I mean, that's sick. And we just sit here bombarded by this programming. And then you've got all these weak-minded people out there that believe it and believe there's this big mega crisis. And they believe that Donald Trump did it. But you look at what he actually did economically, he helped them already. Culturally, he helped them, but they don't even know. They just know that they were given worthless college degrees. They keep buying into the system, and now they think the system that hasn't been delivering to them isn't delivering because it didn't get big enough, and they were going to get paid off soon. They just needed to, stay in the Ponzi scheme long enough, and then now Trump's trying to scuttle the whole Ponzi scheme, and what are they going to do? Because he's the one that caused the problem. He's the reason they've got student debts. He's the reason all this is happening. It's all his fault. And maybe they would just have some power if he fell. Yeah. The elite's going to give you something just as soon as you tear down that guy they're mad at. And what do they want? They want a guaranteed wage, whether you work or not. And they're thinking, this is great. Hey, there's all those rich guys with yachts. I want that. It's the rich guys that yachts that came up with the money that's going to socially engineer you and make you a slave. And as soon as you get the $1,000 a month or whatever, it's not going to be enough. It never is going to be enough. It's going to cause inflation. Then you're going to want more. And they'll have lotteries. Well, then not everybody can be on the Enviro yacht, but one of you did win the lottery to go to the Enviro yacht. I mean, you can see the whole thing. And then it all becomes playing video games all day to try to get to go be with the famous, cool people. And it's just all mind control. And it's all set up while the elites move to these armored reservations, testing for life extension and merger with machines, totally greedily trying to steal the future, and playing God. You read this article, Soul Survival in Trump's Hell. You could stay in hell for a little while if you knew that you were going to get out. My mother always told me that when I was going through something tough and dispiriting, see, it's dispiriting. Yes, it's hurting their spirit. It was her way of saying that trouble doesn't last forever. Yeah, that's right, the death struggle of humanity, fighting back against this parasitic takeover. It won't last. They're not going to struggle forever. Mama Spider says you're already tied up. Okay, the venom makes you feel good, doesn't it? You're already tied up. You just stay right there. You just stay right where you're at, and soon you'll hear them stop fighting. I know the voices of your brethren fighting, and their shouts and their roars kind of make you wake up and think you might want to join them. No, 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 I know you're scared. My mother always told me that when I was going through something tough and dispiriting, it was her way of saying that trouble doesn't last forever, that even in your darkest place, hold fast to the hope and the light, that though today you are in the valley, tomorrow you shall scale the peak. Yes, you'll be in charge on top of the hill soon enough, when you're actually going down the hill with the globalist. Well, Mama Spider, this is hell, indeed. Donald Trump's America in the ninth circle. Ooh, Dante, you're so literary. And while I know that his president is limited to 2 terms, and I highly doubt that Trump could be reelected to a 2nd term and think that Robert Mueller's investigation may curtail the first, I am still struggling to maintain optimism and perseverance. I don't think that there is even a matter of fatigue, but rather of the capability of rage and the capacity of rage and the length of mourning. Hopelessness is a very human response when the feeling of persecution intersects with the feelings of powerlessness. You were already helpless. You were already powerless under the system. You're projecting your narcissistic rage onto Trump. By every scientific and economic metric, he's bringing hope and prosperity. They've been cutting the prosperity off and siphoning it to build their world government. But you can't admit it. Then it goes on. I mean, it's a religion to these people, but they're not in power. They're just the little mentally ill cogs that existentially are upset at Trump because it's not Trump. Trump is a surfer on the wave that is the spirit of the awakening giant. As we throw off the parasites, the enemy feels it. We'll be back. Spread the word. Be part of the transmission.
GCN. Visit GCNlive.com.
They're not feeling Trump
today.
They're feeling us. Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
folks. We're back live. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Infowars.com, newswars.com, and prisonplanet.com are the sites. It's more important than ever to go to those sites, get the articles, get the videos, and share those links. Because the globalists are doing everything they can to block us and to keep us from getting the information out. AT&T over their networks is trying to block sharing Infowars. NewsWars loads a lot quicker. We've had IT people look at it. It's definitely stuff they're doing at every level to try to block us. They admit this, but we're getting around to it, to dealing with it. We have a guest joining us from Strategic Studies on how an American Civil War would unfold. Then we have Dr. Steve Pachinik popping in. We have Chris Paranto, who, of course, one of the main heroes of the Benghazi situation 5 years ago. So it is the 9/11 anniversary. That's all coming up. You know, I'm not going to belabor this because the number one thing people can do is just pray for the broadcast and spread the articles and spread the links, because this is a war. And to not get on people's levels that are caught in this matrix of lies, but just to reach out to them with focus and just point out that, you know, you want change, you got it. That's why they're demonizing and lying about the president. And, you know, he was right about Antifa being bad, and they said it was the end of the world. Now they admit it because they had to say, no, Antifa's good and have us accept that evil, but it didn't work. It blew up in their face. So they just keep increasing their lies, and it's not working. Trump's just bringing back classic Americana system. And they're panicking because he's breaking a 150-year tradition of presidents sticking with their political party. Well, the Republican Party at the top are a bunch of blue blood snobs who are globalists and who are basically part of the Democratic Party, led by the leader of the Democratic Party, John McCain. When I say he's the leader, he's the leader. They say he's the leader. And they're desperate, and they need to understand Trump is only a manifestation of this awakening. They think they destroy the president, that it will demoralize us. It'll just turn him into a martyr. Even if they drug him out slowly or he dies with a heart attack and any of it, it doesn't matter. We know how far we've already moved the ball down the field. And I just want listeners to understand that and know that just briefly, because I didn't plug any last hour and I skipped a break. You got a bunch of sycophants on power trips that think they're going to break our will. They're not going to do it. And that's really what this is, because they attack anything good, anything substantive, anything that has any strength or beauty. They will end up failing because people love beauty. They recognize goodness, and they're not going to be part of this great lie. On September 11th, I would just encourage everybody to take advantage of the new sales we've got going. 50% off all Super Blue products. That's the mouthwash with colloidal silver and iodine. That's the children's with colloidal silver and iodine, but not with the really concentrated peppermint. It's really strong, so it doesn't have peppermint in the children's. It does have it in the adult Super Blue and also the tea tree oil. So we have all of those. They're amazing, 4.8 and 5.0. A perfect 5.0, I guess, for the mouthwash. That is 50% off, ladies and gentlemen. So that is a really great deal on the concentrated, high-quality toothpaste. And when you just make the purchase, sign up for auto ship, and you'll get an additional 10% off, making it a lost leader. But it really is high quality. And when you purchase it there, you do yourself a favor, you do us a favor, you help fund the operation. Knockout, the amazing sleep aid, is 40% off. It's got the melatonin, the valerian root, and 6 other ingredients in it for the same price as the same dose of melatonin by other brands. It's the same dose, but then it has a bunch of other stuff in it as well. Also, the new Z-Shield toxic metal and chemical defense support for trying to draw that stuff out of the body. 40% off at InfoWarsLife.com. And your financial support is a direct act of war against the globalists. And we're not getting what humans always thought was key, the bone broth. 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 Well, now it's the next level of that. It's caveman. But hey, I need a glass of caveman. Caveman. Man. It's better than Ovaltine. Better than Ovaltine. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Caveman is just over the top what in the world? But now with the milk, I was like, whoa, this has milk in it. Whoa. It tastes like good. Man, this tastes so good. Tastes like the best milkshake ever. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. Whoa.
I can say without a doubt, at least in my experience,
this is a super home run available at InfoWarsLife.com, and it supports the broadcast. All right, all the big news straight ahead.
How did he get in here? He's supposed to be with a few people outside. How about all week they're talking about the massive crowds that are going to be outside. Well, it's hot out. It is hot. I think it's too warm. You know, they show up in the helmets and the black masks, and they've got clubs and they've got everything. Antifa!
He trolled him. He baited him. He trolled him. He baited him. He trolled him. He baited him. I wish I was that smart. See, that's the Trump dimension. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled him. That's the Trump dimension. He baited. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled him. That's the Trump dimension. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled. That's the Trump dimension. He baited. I wish I was that smart. See, that's the Trump dimension. It's Trump. The plan of Trump. And thus, by extension, Trump. Trump just trolled you. But that's okay. It's Trump. The plan of Trump. And thus, by extension, Trump.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you were with us or you were with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We're going to take all the weapons.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Is global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge? Aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Do you understand?
Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up in the 4th hour, Roger Stone's going to join us, and I'm going to spill my guts here on air with what's happening inside of the White House and how the president has been isolated, how they're controlling him, and how they got him into this position, and just shocking information that we're going to be going over here on air. This is the most dangerous information we've ever covered. This is the biggest news in the 2 years of Trump mania that we've seen during the campaign, now the last 8 months. This is just over the top, confirmed from multiple sources. And we've already known most of this, but now we're ready to go public. And and I told Roger, I said, for our safety, we just have to get all this out today. So he was going to get into the blackmail of the president tomorrow. And this is not like we're doing installments of soap operas. We need to drop our entire payload now. People used to ask Ben Garrison while he was still alive, the chief investigator, when hundreds of people were killed around the Kennedy investigation. And he said, because I'm out in the spotlight, I'm in the sunlight, I'm in the daylight, I'm out here. Everything I know, as fast as I learn it, is put out. Now, Gregory Copley is president of the International Strategic Studies Association and author of numerous books on strategy, but particularly relevant to the discussion is a 2012 book, Uncivilization, Urban Geopolitics in a Time of Chaos. And it's an amazing book. He predicted it all. And here we are. We have George Soros and the globalists openly trying to manipulate the climate that's already here towards civil unrest, towards a Weatherman 2 type event. Just as Stephen Bannon said, we're going to have a populism that's Americana, free market, based on what works. But the globalists want a Maoist type in their own statements. I mean, coming from the youth. It's a communist system, but that comes from the youth. And they want their leftist populist movement. They want a civil war. They want a crisis. And now they say that. Phil Mudd, former deputy director of the CIA and former deputy director of the FBI, says, we're going to kill the president in the next 2 months. That was a month ago. You're going to hear all about the details we now know. First, they got to isolate him so when they do it, they control the situation. That's in the 4th hour today exclusively. Gregory Copley, thank you for joining us. I want to get you up for a full hour in the near future. Former CIA operations manager Steve Pachenik's going to be joining us with this latest info I've got in about 30 minutes. But I wanted to get you on to talk about your paper, your book, the material, the research you've done to break down where we are right now.
Well, great to be with you. And yes, we have been doing a lot of work on the transformation of society. It's not just in the United States. It's a global phenomenon, as you rightly pointed out. It's the urban-driven people who believe themselves to be globalists. They're not necessarily the people who invented globalization, which is something else. Again, globalization is the normal process of interaction between nation states. And what we're seeing is the urban globalists believe in, if you like, at best, a city-state structure, but without a viable power structure as we devised it under the Westphalian system, which came into being in about 1648. So right now we see the growing division between the urban globalists and the nationalists or the regionalists, people who believe in the nation state. We saw, of course, this come to a head with the Brexit vote in the UK. We saw it come to a head with the Trump election in the United States, but it's going on elsewhere around the world. And we can't forget that when the communists took over in the Soviet Union in 1917, basically they were urban globalists. They wanted to impose a global form of government, not only on the former Russian Empire, but on the world. And basically that eventually generated a backlash from the Russian nationalists in the 1970s and 1980s. And they basically said, look, we want our country back. Why are you giving aid to African states we've never heard of? Why do you talk about global governance at the expense of Russian nationalism? So they rebelled, and that coincided.
Exactly. Globalism was actually using communist states like China today as clients in the exploitation phase of other countries, which is actually in the communist system. And then we learned the communist system was actually hatched as a way to con the general masses back into feudalism in the last 150 years. It's sheer genius.
Well, and in fact, it collapsed, of course, in 1990-91, and then was taken up by the European Union. It was taken up by the urban intelligentsia, for want of a better word. There should be a better word.
And now people that live in these rip-off megacities and coffin apartments, they are open city-state globalists and have disdain for everyone else, even though they're not part of the power structure. They're the people being used.
Yes, but there's a belief that if you live in this urban dominated environment, that you are better taken care of, you know better, you're better informed, you are the rulers, if you like, of the nation state, and people in the regions and the countryside don't count. So the Brexit vote, the Trump vote, were almost seen as last-ditch efforts by the people who believe in the balanced nation state to come to the defense of the nation state. Bearing in mind that we're seeing an increasing urbanization of the global population, now at about 54% globally, people living in cities. In the United States, about 60%. So what the vote showed in November last year was that, in fact, not all of the city people do go along with this urban globalist view, and that's quite evident. There are a lot
so there's a rebellion within the domesticated populations in the megacities.
Well, there is. There's people just haven't bought the argument that we don't need the nation state anymore. There's an open advocacy for an end to the nation state, and a lot of people in cities keep talking about the end of the nation state and the return to the city state. And this just shows the dangers of forgetting history and burning all the history books, which is what they've been doing. Because throughout history, we've seen the rise of city-states, whether they're the Hellenic city-states or the medieval Italian city-states and the like, and they last while there is peace and while there is growing prosperity. But the minute there is some unrest, or the minute that somebody has control of a more geographically based force, like Philip of Macedon, for example, he says, look, I've tried to talk to you guys in Athens for a long time.
That was Alexander the Great's dad, right?
You bet. And he just swept in from the north and said, well, you're not listening, so you're out of business. And city-states are always going to be vulnerable.
Well, that's why it's the end game of globalism, is you already have the city of Rome, and you have the city of London, you have the UN, and you always have these Israel city-states saying we're diplomatically immune, we're our own thing, while their political tentacles use the larger globalism to consolidate and exploit different populations. Then that's brought back into those systems, and so people always get mad at their overreaching power. That's one reason. So this is really the extension of globalism, is realizing they're not going to merge all the nations into one big loving thing and take care of everybody. They're going to have city-states above the law, tax-exempt, that exploit everyone else around them for access through the city-state, that act basically as barriers to global trade.
Well, I think that the urban elites don't even articulate it to that extent. They just want to perpetuate the power which has accumulated in their favor. These people are process-oriented. They are perpetuating the momentum which has been going on essentially.
Total opportunists. They just go with whatever's good for them in the moment. There's no cultural connection, no nothing.
No sense of history. They just think that they need to keep getting fed, keep getting paid, and anybody who disagrees with that, doesn't give them their toys, is clearly out of touch.
And is that why they hate America and Russia so much? Is that there's still some simple culture there. There's still some honor. There's still some Christianity there.
Well, the belief since World War II, which has been perpetuated through the education systems in the West particularly, is that nationalism is what caused World War II and caused World War I. And that you get rid of nationalism and you get rid of war. The reality is that
it was empires that were doing it.
Well, wars occur regardless, because people living in different areas are always going to be at odds with people living in other areas. The question is, how do they resolve those differences? War, in one form or another, is going to be with humanity forever, simply because people disagree, and we see this. Look, you look at the...
Well, globalists admit that they stir up regional conflicts and gave North Korea weapons as an excuse for globalization, as an excuse to give them this world government power.
I think that's actually ascribing too much of a thought process to them. I think it's an instinctive and reactive process.
Then let's talk about that. Let's talk about that straight ahead. They don't want nation states that have always been firewalls to the Soviet Union, to Hitler, to the Roman Empire, to the British Empire. We've got to have firewalls. We've got to have different states. We've got to have separation. We've got to have choices. We've got to have diversity. Not one world secret corporate government. Fascinating. Stay with us.
Now, you know you're winning the information war when the other side has no response but to resort to censorship.
Drain the swamp? We're going to have to drain the privilege out of Washington first, because that's what the swamp feeds on, their privilege.
They can't stand for people to exercise their First and Second Amendments together.
You found it. It's the real news.
That's what you have to look forward to.
It's your host, David Knight.
In my talk, David, I also pointed out that freedom of press does not include slander or libel or false statements. As you know, this is what Gawker Media did, which I sued and I won successfully against them. Freedom of press means in the open market, all thoughts are discussed. If you say false statements, if you say libelous stuff, be ready that you may get sued. So we really define this in the broadest scope. In that gazebo, David, where, as you noticed, we said Black lives do matter. You know, we wanted to really bring this issue. Look, we're not saying Black lives don't matter. They do matter. Let's move on now. We talked about against Monsanto. We talked about free speech. But I think the most important thing, David, that this was premeditated. They didn't want people to hear, particularly what I had to say about Hillary Clinton. She's the one who used the term super predator to refer to Black children. They didn't want us to hear about Jimmy Carter, who said we need ethically clean neighborhoods. They didn't want us to hear about another white supremacist, Harry Reid, who said the reason people should vote for Obama was he doesn't have a Negro accent. The Democrats are filled with racists. And the academics have narrowed racism down to people who wear pillowcases on their heads and people who have swastikas, by the way, which is an Indian symbol, which is another issue.
Well, you know, they used you as a straw man for their big rally. And the Democrats rally around that. And as you point out, they like to look like they're morally superior. They create these straw men, which is not anything at all what you guys were about. And then they rally against that. As I said earlier, we've got Antifa and the Democrats, and their straw men now are made out of bronze and marble, but you guys were used that way at that Boston rally. One of the things that you mentioned when we had that clip we played from Joe Biggs, you talked also about Hillary Clinton and her connections with Robert Byrd, the guy who was a literal Klansman, and he was very high in the Ku Klux Klan. And they lauded him. I mean, he was a big shot in the Democrat Party, and they lauded him. Even after he died, they had nothing bad to say about him, the Clintons and others. And now we've got the governor of North Carolina going through and saying, we're going to tear down all these Confederate statues. And it was a great headline on one of the sites talking about, they said, North Carolina governor to erase Democrat history. Because that's the truth about all this. Nancy Pelosi's got a list of statues she wants to take out of the Capitol building, and all 10 of them were Democrats, except for Robert E. Lee, who had no political affiliation, but the other 9 were all Democrats. So that's the real history of the Democrat Party that they don't want you to see. They've always been racist, and they're still racist. It's just that they've switched which races they're deceiving at a particular time.
Yeah, I mean, what they wanted to do was they wanted, I mean, in that gazebo, David, in the center, cell phone service was cut out, so we weren't able to Periscope or live YouTube out. This was premeditated because they didn't want people to hear a much more truthful narrative that there's a diversity of opinion in America. And I pointed out in my talk that it's the academics and academia who are controlling these young people these days. They've created very finite sets of thought forms. And if you follow that, you're a good liberal. It's in many ways, it's moral narcissism. And that's what they've done to this country. And I think what we did, and the fact that we had that video, and as Joe probably shared and the others shared, is we caught them with their pants down.
You found it. It's the real news with your host, David Knight.
Face that you have to face, mirror in your stare. I'm what's left, I'm what's right, I'm the enemy. I'm the hand that'll take you down, bring you to your knees. So who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you?
Gregory Copley is our guest. I want to get him up for a full hour in the near future. strategicstudies.org. What's the bottom line? Let's get into your book, Uncivilization, your predictions of this from historical examples. I mean, we see it happening now. We see opportunists using this to consolidate power while trying to not actually build any infrastructure, while waging war against any culture because it's seen as competition to the soulless globalism.
Well, the book Uncivilization, Urban Geopolitics in a Time of Chaos was about the most optimistic title I could give to what I was discussing in the book which came out in 2012 and which would a topic which we'd been working on for a decade or more, showing how there was a growing divergence in the way people think in urban areas to the way they think in rural areas. What we see with most of society is that logic is formed by the place you live in, the geography and climate in which you live, which is why the French call it a sense of terroir, relationship to the soil. And logic patterns form in that. So when you're a farmer, you think in terms of the seasons and the weather, and in harmony with the people you have to work with. Urban societies have a sense of terroir also, but it's based around a different kind of survival logic, what it takes to survive in the concrete geography, if you like. So they start to develop a different sense of priority. Because it's about abstract, it's about keeping your job, it's about getting paid in money, which no longer even needs to be paper money. It's about numbers in a bank account or on a credit card or whatever. So people start to think very differently, and each begins to lose identity with the other partners, if you like, in the nation-state matrix. So now what happens is that when there's a crisis and the nation-state is needed again as the great defensive mechanism, because you need to have control over your food supply, your water, your resources, your means of production, and so on. So you gather together, because if you don't, you know that if you're just relying on saying, well, I need milk, so I might as well get it from China because it's a cent cheaper per gallon than it is getting it from New Jersey, you lose the perspective. So
you have no alliance, you have no culture, you have no connection. You're just being set up to be conquered.
Well, in a sense, that's the cycle of history. You stop depending on your immediate neighbors, the people with whom you have a cultural and a geopolitical link, and you start thinking that you don't need that anymore. So you lose that sort of...
Exactly. In a way, haven't the sanctions on Russia and things only made it stronger, making them work inside their own giant country?
No question about it. I mean, arguably, people say, well, the Russian GDP declined in the last few years. Well, so did the GDPs of virtually all countries around the world. What happened, though, was that Russia, the Russian Federation, has now actually become far more resilient and self-reliant. It's transformed its approach.
Exactly. They found their real wealth is their culture.
Their culture and their control over their agriculture and industrial output. They stand to be the next great breadbasket for Eurasia as a whole. China will become...
And Trump understands that as well, just like Putin does, and he's trying to get our farming going. Putin said, we're going to be the world leader in organic food, and 5 years later, it's already happening. I mean, and Trump sees that vision. The only Russian connection is he sees it, he admires it, and knows that under a similar vision, it's total Americana, Russia didn't invent it, will be even greater.
Well, that's right. I mean, you can look at Russia. When Russia itself imposed sanctions on Turkey, for example, and cut off Turkish exports of agricultural products to Russia, that was definitely punished Turkey, but it also meant that the Russian farmers were given the opportunity to start to develop high-value agricultural products as opposed to the mass
And
grain.
Putin told them they had value, so more people started having kids and stopped being alcoholics. It's all about the government and the people together and the culture saying, we have value, we have a mission, we have a purpose, not just, watching sports and being alcoholics.
And it gets down to identity security, the feeling that you understand who you are within your historical context. That's a family identity, that's a group, a national identity. It's an overarching sense of who you are and your place in history.
Gregory Copley, will you please, I know you've got such great letters, you're such a great author and researcher, will you please come back in the next week for a full hour?
Look forward to it.
I want to talk about where you see this going on a bad course versus if we change what the good course could be. An amazing historian, strategicstudies.org. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with Dr. Steve Pieczenik.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
I've got a very simple sales strategy. It's develop and sell products that I personally use for my family at affordable prices, because I want you to get great results and I want you to come back and keep buying the product. because I follow the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. Now, we have developed True Whey protein from one of the top developers in the country, private labeled it at an affordable price that is delicious. I put the whey in, and ours is the best for the price it is. It's high quality, with either strawberry or chocolate flavored bone broth that has obviously incredible benefits. And you mix this together and you put in some organic milk, you put in some strawberries, some blueberries, some cherries. It's amazing. And I've gotten spoiled to this. I'm going to be honest with you. In the last 6 months as we developed this product and I was testing it, the energy it gives me, the meal replacement, all of it has spoiled me. And you can add fruit to it if you want. You can add ice to it if you want. But the True Whey protein with the caveman formula together is simply incredible. And it's something that supports our broadcast, so you can't lose. But I want people to experience what concentrated bone broth does with chaga, mushroom, and with the turmeric, and with the bee pollen, and then with the high-quality whey together. It's amazing. This is a true superfood. Of the 30-plus products we put out that are all great, this one is the most amazing. When it just comes to, I take this for breakfast, I'm not hungry till like 6, 7 at night, and I have so much energy. But it spoiled me because I used to work out to not be overweight. Now, this has changed my whole life. Bone broth is so amazing. Mixed with high-quality whey, it's even more incredible. Mixed with some berries and some high-quality organic milk, it's delicious. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com. And you can't lose because you're supporting the broadcast. Thank you all for your support. Find out why Caveman and our True Whey is so game-changing at InfoWarsStore.com.
Every morning before I start writing or shooting a video, I take 2 capsules of Brain Force for a sustainable burst of energy. This is, without question, the most powerful nootropic I've ever taken, and it comes without any of the crashes or the jitters associated with energy drinks. It's additive-free, nothing artificial. It's Brain Force Plus. Read thousands of 5-star independent reviews right now and get your Brain Force Plus at InfoWarsLife.com.
InfoWarsLife.com.
Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
"16 years since the staged terror attacks of 9/11. 5 years since the stand down of Benghazi. 1 year since the collapse of Hillary Clinton. And just as we told you, bare minimum, Saudi Arabia involved, stand down ordered in the 28 pages. Congressman Walter Jones has exposed it. Senator Graham has gone public, exposed it. They've released what's in the 28 pages. All but in the complete letters. They've broken down what's in them. And now it's in the news. Saudi government allegedly funded a dry run for 9/11. Well, it was a lot bigger than that, ladies and gentlemen. It was used to then basically bring in a police state in this country while aiding the radical jihadis at the same time. The media always tries to spin it that I'm saying then the fire department blew the buildings up. They go, oh, the government did it. You mean people that work for the post office? That's the games they play. No, globalists that have been working with the Wahhabists to let Saudi Arabia take the blame and then blame Iraq, Saudi Arabia's enemy, and expand the Wahhabiist takeover and make a deal to flood Europe with 10 million people, 80% of military-age men, and then have Europe give up its liberties and freedoms in the name of appeasing Islam. There's a story on Infowars.com. Finnish police chief. Terrorists should be allowed in schools to expand tolerance. I read that Paul Watson headline at newswars.com and Infowars.com. And I thought, surely Paul's putting out clickbait, though he never does that. And I read it. There's actual quotes of him. He's on TV saying, they go, yes, but these are terrorists. They're putting adults in the high schools. I'm not kidding. It's any form of cuckolding they can. Like, what's the most abusive thing? Let's put an ISIS fighter in a high school. Then when they rape people or kill people or bomb people, they go, oh, no, it's cultural enrichment. Even a terrorist, this is a quote, can benefit from good learning. It might widen views and expand tolerance, responded the police chief. Psychological warfare, breaking your will. Because you'll accept that, you'll accept anything. Now you see the larger designs. I've got some news here that I want to just tell Dr. Steve Pieczenik live on air. Because I'm not even waiting for Roger Stone to come on in the 4th hour with me to go over this. Because it's so sickening. It makes me ashamed just to even know how bad McMaster and people are. It shames me to know the details of it up close personally. To think about how slimy they are and how scared they are of us and our sources. It shows how weak they are, which only makes it worse that they're the ones that have encircled the president and that his weakness has allowed this. And our weakness has allowed this. And it's just disgusting to have to risk my life when my children need me. And I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm just telling you, this is disgusting. It's not fun to break stuff like this. It's not, oh, look, I get the big story. It's nobody else is willing to do it because they're threatening to kill people. Well, we're all dead culturally anyways if they win. So batten down the hatches, ramming speed. But I tell you, I don't just have this from Roger Stone. I have this from a bunch of other sources. In fact, we should probably get Mike Cernovich on. He told me all this. I have my sources. They basically cut off a lot of his sources. They've run Bannon out. And they did it by terrorizing the president. So I'm going to just tell Pieczenik this in the audience, this to get his take on it. They did it by terrorizing him with leaks of everything and then only leaving the generals in place to let them do effective stuff because they were in control of the leaking. So they'd say, sir, we'll make everything effective like it is with our military and like it's with the border with the 69% reduction in illegals coming in. If you just let us have complete control and don't let anybody in there, don't let Ivanka in there, don't even hardly let Melania in there, don't even let your security head of 30 years, you know, the former New York detective, don't let him in there. In fact, when he would meet with him, you have to write a report and give it to Kelly. It's true. Everything they give him curtailed. Infowars specifically. Breitbart was specific. He learned, don't show Breitbart. And Bannon's like, this is insane. This is the Americana reboot. This is the plan. What the real patriot deep state wants to do for the country, freedom, awakening the public. Because they were going to bring the country into total tyranny, economic despair, culture war. I mean, it was going to get a lot worse. What you've seen them trying would have been succeeding with all the race war Antifa crap. And what they've done to Trump is, first, in the last few months, they got him to do that. Then they started controlling his information. And then people started noticing when they talked to him on the phone or in person, after about 9 at night, he was slurring his words. And the word is, and this is what I've read in history and study, but also just how I would do it. We've got Pieczenik, who's a psychiatrist and a medical doctor, and also a lot of other things can go over this. But they start the dose of whatever it is, not even generally a poison, but some type of addictive drug that is a depressant, very slowly until finally you're subconsciously wanting it when they bring it to him in his Diet Coke. We don't know exactly what it is, but just like with Reagan got in, did some good stuff, suddenly started acting real weird, but still he was bulling through it, so they shot him, gave him cold blood to cause brain damage, and then from there on out would kind of drug him and then undrug him and kind of roll him out for stuff. So the art of drugging presidents is very old. The art of the Chinese drugging their emperors is very old. This is a real art form for deep state. And the word is that he, because notice they go, oh, he's brain damaged. Oh, early on, so, you know, he has all this energy, all this great stuff. But then suddenly people that see him out, things, it's not him burning out. He always got off on the energy, people coming and going, lots of stuff happening. He loves it. It's that they're drugging him. And the word is they've even been bragging that, oh, wait, soon he's going to be incapacitated. So the way they're going to go is not blowing his head off. That'd make him a martyr. They're not going to go with it. those ways, they're not probably going to go the FBI direction now. They're just using that to discredit him in the background to make him look illegitimate. It's just drugging him into a state incrementally where they control him and then politically destroying him down the line. And McMaster goes to dinners, and I already knew this from multiple sources, but this is from high-level sources. This was going to be on the news this week. I was, quite frankly, ready for it to just be in other papers. I don't want to stick my head in the lion's mouth, you know, just for a circus trick. I'll do it for my family and the country and, you know, let these scumbags know there's some people who aren't trash, but I'm not looking for this, okay? McMaster gets totally drunk. He'll drink 2-3 bottles of wine, $200, $300 bottles of Chardonnay at these events with these CEOs for this intelligence council. It used to be the Foreign Intelligence Council with all these corporate heads. And he just goes to these dinners and says, oh, the president, the idiot just called me, the moron just called me. And he does it because he's such a little climber that he wants to look good in front of everybody and thinks everybody hates Trump. He just shows his disdain. He's an idiot. You know, he doesn't really have the launch codes. It's like Alexander Haig when Reagan was shot. I'm in control. I'm in command. But he's just doing this everywhere. And these people get really freaked out. And so I've got all the inside baseball from my sources, multiple ones. But it gets worse than that. There's so much more in the fourth hour. But to know that we've gotten so close, just him doing a few things, the exuberance, the pushing for tax cuts, the TPP, killing that, the carbon tax, killing that, all these things that were meant to deindustrialize the country and sell us out to communist China, that's all getting killed, all these good things happening, and then now, see, the leaks aren't happening because they've got him fully encircled, but then the next thing you do is the drugging. And again, I don't want to get up here and say the president after 9 o'clock at night is slurring his words and stumbling around. The guy doesn't take drugs, folks. He eats fast food and stuff, but, you know, goes out and plays golf all day. The guy's, you know, in overall really good shape. It's definitely, they're definitely putting something in his food, in his drinks is what they think. And I wanted to get Dr. Pachinik, who's worked for the State Department and worked for the CIA and a lot of other things on, co-wrote books with Tom Clancy, who's been on the inside of all this stuff, is obviously very dangerous because this is right at the highest levels. McMaster created a task force to stop this information getting out. He later admitted in Bloomberg that indeed we know where they're eating. I mean, they're saying traitorous stuff to tables of people. Folks are really freaked out. Not everybody's a scumbag like McMaster. And it's one thing if Trump wasn't actually trying to turn the country back on. He's not perfect, but he's a real president actually trying to do good. And transferring power back to the people, back to the government from the globalists. But still, the sycophantic classes that he has to draw from the swamp are the most sickening, twisted, arrogant, beyond frat boys, as like a code of honor, believing mainstream media, believing mainstream culture, literally desecrating the country, saying horrible things about the president everywhere. It's not even about the president. It's the unprofessionalism, even if they were evil criminals. Oh, and but just wanting power. It's not that. It's this narcissistic celebration of just their idiocy. And again, they think they're safe doing all this? That's another thing, is they're so weak, they're worried about me and Cernovich and Roger Stone. And that Trump might get the phone and call us, which he still does. They don't even know what to do at this point. It's just so it's so destabilizing and crazy and dangerous and ham-fisted and not well executed. It's dangerous. We have all these enemies. We have all these crises we're facing. And I got 4 children. I'm pissed off at the globalists. I'm pissed off at the political class. I'm tired of their crap. They all need to go to prison. So there's fear in these people. I'm sick of them. Dr. Pachinik, what do you make of the intel I just dumped on you? I know you have a lot of your own sources, but what do you make of that?
First of all, I thought you were going to call me up to see how I was, because I have been in the middle of a major storm which was not created by globalists or the CIA. And trees have been coming down. Power lines have been coming down. So, Alex, I want you to come
I did call. I mean, you were on yesterday. We know. Thank you for calling. I hope you're doing great.
You can ask, how am I doing, Alex? And you can ask all of the people who've been in Florida and Georgia and Texas, how are we doing? You want to ask that, Alex?
Yes, I have been covering that, and it's a bad storm.
No, it's not enough. You asked me to come on. I have to go to my neighbor's house in order to talk and say, look, We're in the middle of major.
Oh, I got it. You're at your neighbor's house. I think you're going about the hurricane. Sorry we didn't relay that to you. It was about this big... You were on with us yesterday. Yes, how are you doing over there? How was the hurricane?
No, that's not polite, Alex. Let's talk about a real problem. You have people in the United States who have been hit by major hurricanes, have nothing to do with McMaster, have nothing to do with anybody in the deep state or any state. And they've been working very well because, Alex, I keep on telling you, the American public, when it's left alone, really cares about each other. And there are neighbors who take us in, and we take in other neighbors. And we don't have to depend on FEMA, and we don't have to depend on the national government because our local government in the various counties, Bradford, Union, Alachua, they all take care of us and make sure that we have food and water, Alex. So the fear that you're spouting right now, you have to hold it back, Alex. You and I don't always agree, but there are more important elements right now than McMaster and than anyone else. And that is you're going to have huge devastation to several states. And what I've said for a long time is that it's at the local and the regional levels that we give a concern. Governor Scott was fine. Governor Abbott of Texas was fine. The local policemen, the local people, the churches, everybody's working together. So I want you to put a little bit of reality into this show before you start getting out of control about McMaster.
You're just giving me grief, and I know you knew what you were coming on about.
I'm not giving you grief. I'm giving you reality, Alex.
No. Let's remember that they are a joke. They are a fraud, and it's the people that are strong.
No. Wait a minute. Alex, you've never served. Let me put it very bluntly. The reason we have Kelly there, the reason we have Mattis there, the reason we have 5 to 6 generals is because we need command and control. We need to make sure that this government is run efficiently. It's not run by political operatives like your friends. It's not run by ex-cathedra people who have no idea what the military is, who have no idea where our dispositions are in North Korea, Japan, Iraq, or Iran. It's not fair, Alex. You have to be fair to our intelligence community and to the military. Our military.
Well, I don't think Petraeus and McMaster and all these guys running around doing what they're doing is fair. And just a few weeks ago, you said they were giving him really bad advice on the Afghanistan.
I agree with it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to eliminate everything that you have. If I don't agree with the General Mattis or a General Kelly or somebody, I will say it publicly. I don't agree with sending more troops into Afghanistan. That's not a strategy.
Okay, well, it's a fact that they're running around bad-mouthing Trump. It's a fact they're doing that.
Storm, you owe me. Now, the answer is very simple. Alex, the answer is very simple. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You've got Mattis there. He's doing a fine job. You didn't talk about the fact that we just defeated in Raqqa, Mosul, and we've already pretty much cooled down the civil war in Syria, which is a sponsor that I was for, and that Pompeo.
No, I talk about positive stuff all the time. My point is that they are literally in there undermining the president.
He's not undermining the president. The president, as a kid and throughout, needed a command and control system. Number one, the president is doing what he needs to do. Number two, he flies to where he has to fly. Number three, there needs to be some sense of command and control in the White House where there's a consistency of messages. The president isn't number one, Alex. I've said it to you repeatedly. The republic is number one. Number two comes the president, and number three comes the people. It's the republic that we care about. The continuity of the republic is far more important than the continuity of a president. John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Others were taken out. But the republic remained so that we could maintain our viability as an entity and also your cash flows and also our international relations. It's not about globalists. It's about maintaining the consistency.
Oh, I understand. Globalism's getting cut up, but you've got a bunch of the power structure trying to remove the president. You got Mudd running around saying they're going to...
Who is trying to remove the president? Tell me one man who's trying to remove the president.
Okay, Phil Mudd. Phil Mudd, former deputy director of the CIA, said the government's going to kill the president.
That's nonsense. Who's the former director of the CIA?
I said former deputy director, Phil Mudd.
That's absurd. That's absurd because John Brennan and his group was a disaster. You don't really believe they're going to kill a president. And if you do kill a president, we don't announce it. John F. Kennedy was not told before he was going to be assassinated.
I know. So why are they running around saying that everywhere?
Because people like you and your friends who go around the paper, they want to create fear and monger. Most of the people around the president know damn well he's not going to be assassinated. The Secret Service has done an excellent job. They're exhausted, and we're paying more because they have to go all over the place with the president. But the president is fine. He's intact. He's doing what he has to do. Remember, the Republic runs without a president and without a vice president. We've run it when Nixon was in trouble. We ran it when John F. Kennedy was in trouble. Yeah, but
Trump's not in trouble, and we need to carry out the true restoration, the power back to the states and back to the people, what you were just saying.
Alex, you're not giving due credit to Governor.
Hold on, we're We've got great air filters, great water filters, great non-GMO heirloom seeds, great books, great films, great Patriot apparel to meet like-minded people. And we've got a new humongoid sale. Not the number of things that are on massive sale, but on what's on sale. Out for months, not been on sale for months and months. We've never offered Super Male Vitality, known concentrated herbs, cold pressed. Super Male Vitality, 57% off. It's never been the price it is right now with 3,596 reviews, 4.6 reviews total by third-party sites. Unprecedented, and it's cold pressed. That's why Super Male is so different. People say, well, I know these compounds work because it's admitted to science, and these are other, what you sell, BuzzFeed said, is already best-selling stuff that's been certified as healthy and good forever. Why these aren't anything new? Because why do something new when you can have the oldest and best, but cold pressed? Duh.
You deserve a deep, restful sleep with Knockout by Infowars Life. Our organic formula is made from high-quality natural ingredients such as valerian root extract, L-tryptophan, lemon balm leaf extract, and melatonin. Knockout packs a powerful punch to get you through the night and achieve proper sleep. Millions of people around the world experience daytime drowsiness, but with the rapid speed of life, we need to be able to keep up the pace. Our natural mixture harnesses the power of 10 known ingredients to let your body relax and get the sleep you need. Wake up refreshed and take on the day. Infowars Life wants to bring you a sleep support formula that goes above and beyond other leading brands at an affordable price. Get the sleep you deserve and experience the power of Knockout. Head on over to InfoWarsLife.com and say goodbye to fatigue. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Hey, did you know that you can now preserve your own food for up to 25 years and still maintain its nutrition and flavor? That's right. Now's the time to build your own food storage with Harvest Right's freeze dryers. Go to InfoWarsStore.com to learn more and check out this innovative and smart technology that's easy to use. And let me tell you something, it is perfect for freeze drying fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, desserts, and entire meals. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. And when compared to traditional methods of preservation, like canning or dehydrating, like what you get at the grocery store, there is no comparison. Harvest Right freeze dryers retain 97% of the food's taste, color, and nutritional value and have a shelf life of up to 25 years. Now that's what I call the miracle of food preservation. Harvest Right is truly the world's best, most affordable freeze dryer. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
Some in the next hour, we're going to get into the hurricane, but it's all up on Infowars.com. Happened in Florida without power. That's because they've cut the power a lot of places so it doesn't explode when it goes underwater. Looting spree. I haven't even gotten to the looting sprees. They accused me of making up that black people were looting in Harvey in Houston when we never even mentioned it other than a tweet at a news article that showed black looters. I've got so many videos of black looters it'll make your head spin, but we've not even been showing them until now because the media says that I'm making it up. No, the truth is we've seen black folks helping white folks helping white folks, black folks here in Texas and there in Florida. We've got crews there, And so that's why I haven't really been harping on that, because it does show great unity. And you saw Trump after Charlottesville say that Antifa was really bad too. And 3 weeks later, the Democrats had to admit that Antifa was bad, but they never said Trump was right. So I've seen these hurricanes bringing unity, Dr. Steve Pachenik, but I got to tell you, at the same time, I really do see open talk about removing the president publicly in mainstream news, and I take that very, very seriously.
What do you want to do, Alex? What do you want to do? You tell me what you're going to do.
I don't know. I mean, you're a smart guy. I didn't get you on here to affirm what I'm saying. I got you on because I wanted your take.
You got me on here to basically say, yes, well, I'm in the middle of a storm, and I'm in the middle of a storm that couldn't care less whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, or blue, or whether you're young and old, or whether you're a general or you're nothing. We're here to help each other out, and America's at this point. And you're talking about somebody trying to take out a president who's sitting there and he's doing fine. He's not being taken out. They're already planning trips for him to go to the Far East. Now, how are they going to plan a trip for him to go to the Far East if they're going to take him out?
Well, I mean, they had planned trips.
You tell me.
I will tell you, they had planned trips for Kennedy right before they killed him. What are you talking about?
No, they didn't plan anything. Kennedy, I'm not getting into the Kennedy issue, and you know that. The real issue now is not about an assassination. Roger wants to talk about that's his privilege. The real issue right now is, what do you want to do for America?
Sure, but you call it command and control. I like the president tweeting. I like him being real. I like him interfacing.
Fine.
We don't need him on house arrest like Rapunzel.
What's that?
We don't need the president on house arrest like Rapunzel.
He's not under house arrest, but he's a grown man who has a series of things that he does. He's a grown man who brings in his own children to make decisions. That's fine. I'm not here to judge the president. He can do what he does. But I am here to judge the republic because unlike many other people and like many other veterans, we fought in order to maintain the republic. Whether Trump is here or Pence is here or Mickey Mouse is in the White House, you want to know what's irrelevant to us. What's relevant to us is that the republic remains so that it has the integrity.
And Trump has gutted 50 years of globalists selling out the country in 8 months.
Globalists aren't doing anything. Alex, right now, Brexit is in such serious trouble. Ireland is in trouble. Scotland is in trouble.
But that's the beginning of the separation. Of course.
Yeah, but who told you about it? I told you about it years ago. And I told you this would be the takedown of the system that was put in by the EU. We're not falling
Well, I mean, I gave you credit for that, but we were pushing to bring down the EU 20 years ago. I know that.
No, we weren't pushing it at all.
I was.
Well,
before they even officially launched
it. 4 stars. Go home to your mother and tell her you're brilliant. That's not the issue. The issue.
Well, I'll tell you, in the real world, I've been able to predict stuff other people haven't. I said Trump was going to win 2 days before.
I think you're wonderful. Alex, will you stop promoting yourself?
I'm not promoting myself. I'm promoting facts.
Promoting yourself.
I'm promoting facts. I'm promoting facts. 70 seconds, we'll be back. If Steve doesn't throw a fit and hang up.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
And we're not getting what humans always thought was key, the bone broth. 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 Well, now it's the next level of that. It's caveman. But hey, I need a glass of caveman. Caveman. Man. It's better than Ovaltine. Better than Ovaltine. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Caveman is just over the top. What in the world? But now with the milk, I was like, whoa, this has milk in it. Whoa. It tastes like good. Damn, this tastes so good. Tastes like the best milkshake ever. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. Whoa.
I can say without a doubt, at least in my experience,
this is a super home run available at InfoWarsLive.com, and it supports the broadcast. All right, all the big news straight ahead.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Alex Jones Show, because there is a war on for your mind.
Steve Puchenik is throwing a fit on air, which is good radio. And you know what? We should be upset about what's happening. A couple of weeks ago, I was saying how Trump and the generals were doing a great job. And I thought it was all political infighting. And he was yelling at me saying, no, it's terrible. This is crap. Why did we put Trump in? He's deserted us. And then I got him on to actually see what he thought. I don't like call him and say, hey, what are you going to talk about? I actually want to hear. Sometimes he agrees, sometimes he disagrees. That's what I do with my guests. People say, why do you have people on that disagree? Or agree, because that's what's interesting is the real discussion. So let's not change the debate until it's disingenuous in a hurricane to bring up the stuff happening with the political stuff. I just did 13 hours yesterday covering the hurricane. Now we're covering the aftermath. It's still ongoing, flooding, all the rest of it. We're praying for folks. But seriously, I'm optimistically hoping you're right. I mean, I haven't really said anything bad about Mattis. I keep learning about the stuff about McMaster. And then I see it confirmed later in the news that indeed he is doing this stuff, and it's just it's disgusting. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it disgusting? Listen, first of all, how many people do you have on your staff there? You have 73, right?
Something like that.
All right. Why do you have 73 people when you know you can say whatever you want whenever you want it? Why are they there?
Well, there's everything from janitorial to accounting to IT to researchers.
Correct. Right, and then. Do you call me up beforehand to come on your show? No, you're not that sweet to me, so you send Alejandro and Nico. So instead of Alejandro and Nico, we have McMasters, we have Mattis. Now, do I always agree with McMaster? No. Did I agree with Mattis going into Afghanistan? No. I was furious because that was the turnaround. Am I throwing out everybody because I may be right or may be wrong? No. So what I'm asking you to do is to temper your language a little bit right now, because no one is going to take out Trump. Trump is going to even take himself out. He enjoys his company, has a beautiful wife, he has lovely kids, and we're going to go on. And by the way, if he took everybody out, how the hell are you going to explain the fact that Trump turned on the conservative wing and went right to our friend Schumer? Did you anticipate that?
I did, because they were totally blocking him and stonewalling him. All I care about is getting the jobs, cutting the taxes, repealing Obamacare, securing the borders, not teaching 5-year-olds how to have sex. And Trump's going in the right direction. So I get him not letting them.
I didn't disagree. When did I disagree that he went to Schumer and instead we had a whole outcry from a bunch of Republicans who did nothing over 7 years? You and I do our homework. We study, we learn what we do. But if you had a health bill for 7 years, Alex, I am certain you would have learned what was in that bill.
Yes. I mean, I scanned over the key subsections.
Excuse me, but none of our Republicans, neither Mitchell McConnell or Ryan or any of
No, I know.
guys,
I don't like them because they're arrogant. They wouldn't even return the president's calls. And then McMaster acts like that. I don't get the arrogance.
So
they won't. Well, hold on, because our next guest is 5 minutes late. Hold over if you can, because I want to finish this discussion. But here's what I'm getting at.
You want to finish me? You're not going to finish me, and we'll continue this. The issue is very.
I'm not trying to finish you. I'm not trying to best you. I'm trying to get.
But that's okay, Alex. We've been doing this for 14.
That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening.
Of course it is.
No, it's not. I'm trying to actually get to the goal of something. What we're getting at here is I can talk over you easily.
Talk for a while. Alex, cool it.
What's happening is
my time. I got to save people in the water. Gators are coming in and moccasins.
I saw that. So when we come back, I want to talk about the economy thing then. Just do 5 minutes on that. And the hurricane, because that's what I'm getting at is they wanted to stall the economy, lower our debt rating if he doesn't raise the debt ceiling, when they're the ones that never did it before. That's why I'm saying I support what he did.
Hey, did you know that you can now preserve your own food for up to 25 years and still maintain its nutrition and flavor? That's right. Now's the time to build your own food storage with Harvest Right's freeze dryers. Go to InfoWarsStore.com to learn more and check out this innovative and smart technology that's easy to use. And let me tell you something, it is perfect for freeze drying fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, desserts, and entire meals. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. And when compared to traditional methods of preservation, like canning or dehydrating, you know, like what you get at the grocery store, there is no comparison. Harvest Right freeze dryers retain 97% of the food's taste, color, and nutritional value and have a shelf life of up to 25 years. Now, that's what I call the miracle of food preservation. Harvest Right is truly the world's best, most affordable freeze dryer. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
And they tell the trendies how the trendies go, rip me off. Get into it. Jump up and down. Going, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, and I'm sick of it.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
We've got great air filters, great water filters, great non-GMO heirloom seeds, great books, great films, great Patriot apparel to meet like-minded people. And we've got a new humongoid sale. Not the number of things that are on massive sale, but on what's on sale. Out for months, not been on sale for months and months. We've never offered Super Male Vitality, known concentrated herbs, cold pressed. Super Male Vitality, 57% off. It's never been the price it is right now with 3,596 reviews, 4.6 reviews total at third-party sites. Unprecedented, and it's cold pressed. That's why Super Male is so different. People say, well, I know these compounds work because it's admitted to science, and these are other, what you sell, BuzzFeed said, is already best-selling stuff that's been certified as, healthy and good forever. Why these aren't anything new? Because why do something new when you can have the oldest and best, but cold pressed? Duh.
Frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, we've got half of Florida without power, 544,000 no power in Georgia, looting spree, Keys residents seething over roadblocks, and Steve Pachenik's right in the middle of Florida, right where the hurricane hit. And he's finishing up. He thinks the command and control system's great in there right now. And them cutting off access to the president is a good thing. And so we'll see what happens. All I care about is that we get the country going, get out of globalism, and get those tax cuts. And the fact that the Republican blue bloods tried to block him and that they tried to shut the government off to make him look bad, I think it was smart to go around their back and go to the Democrats because that shows them that the blue blood Republicans aren't running the show. So I agree with Steve Pachenik there. But, man, I've talked to the CEOs. I've talked to people at the dinners with McMaster running his mouth and talking down the president and saying he shouldn't have the nuclear codes and stuff. And I just